Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. So I have a little bit of an interesting reading that's coming out today, and I already know what this is. I am going to pull cards because there's some blanks inside of this for me, but maybe not. Maybe they'll fill it in as we go. So I'm just diving right into this. We are dealing today with a collective who is experiencing the witch wound, trying to work through it, maybe becoming aware of it, even though they're not necessarily aware of that term. So I'm going to explain that term to you. If you're unfamiliar with the witch wound, this is a past life where we have, basically it's a trauma that we carry in from a past life on a soul level. In this past life, we were basically silenced, put to death, persecuted for practicing witchcraft. We may have been wrongly accused of that. So one of the things that it manifests as in this life is an inexplicable fear of being seen, of being heard, an inexplicable draw towards witchcraft, an inexplicable repulsion to witchcraft. It can manifest both ways, right? Depending on how we internalize the experience and what that experience really did to us. So, the most notable lifetimes that people usually bring up are during the burning times, right? Which swept through Europe. If you're unfamiliar with that, definitely read about it. And then we also have on the front end of that, we had the Spanish Inquisition, in which a lot of Jews were actually persecuted for practicing sorcery, or what they believed was eating people's children for longevity. They would take Kabbalists, for example, people that were practicing mysticism, and they would burn them. So, we have a long history in our all throughout history, really, where magical practitioners have been persecuted. It wasn't uncommon when one tribe would take over another tribe that they would take the magical practitioner of that tribe and persecute them, because that was the tribe's power, this magical practitioner, whether it was in the form of a shaman or a medicine man, or, if it was... that's the gist, right? That's the gist. So, whoever I'm speaking to, this seems to be an energy that we are currently working through. We may be having aspects of this crop up in our life. If we have a witch wound, we usually tend to have people drawn to us that won't listen to us, that won't give us space, that won't care about their feelings, but they don't care about yours, right? Or they always try to knock you down a peg, and we seem to be surrounded with people like this until we learn to cut people out. The witch wound is all about learning boundaries, right? It's about our soul relearning how to take up space in the world. And it's also about our soul understanding that it's safe to be able to come into our own unique spiritual path. You don't need your family to agree with you. You don't need your society to agree with you. Your spiritual path is something that happens internally. So let's see what's coming out in this. Yes. So when we have the Hierophant, this is really about soul lessons, right? I see the Hierophant when soul karma is being transmuted. So I talk about it often on this channel. Most people, in a lay way, they consider karma to be something that's taking place outside of them. The true function of karma is something that's taking place inside of you. It's all the things that you have to work through, right? This is why the word karma literally means work. It's the work that you have to do in order to align to yourself, in order to align to that supreme self that exists within you, that is your source center, or your connection to God, if that's how you want to view it. Here with the Hierophant, what we have that this is a great lesson inside of our soul's journey, is how to heal from this, right? For some of you, it may require forgiveness. Some of you may have noticed that when you were younger, you cleaved to big religion. There may have been a moment of fanaticism that took place, and that is a direct recalibration of the soul in response to these traumas, especially if this lifetime was within one or two lifetimes of this one. So this is oftentimes when we see that. Someone may have been born into an extremely religious family, for example. Here with the Seven of Swords, the Seven of Swords is the card of, they say lying, cheating, stealing is usually what most tarot readers say, but this is self-sabotage. This is a wound that causes us to self-sabotage. And if you hear me coughing a lot, that's because in my witch wound life, I was actually hung. So I will probably be coughing a lot during this one. So with the Seven of Swords, what we have is we have this self-sabotage energy. What's happening is that your soul is ready, right? This is the divine time. This is the right time for us to kind of master our own energy and for this wound to be healed now. This allows us to stop sabotaging our own spiritual uniqueness. So some of you, again, if you are extremely magnetized towards witchcraft, but you might have a hesitancy for it, you might not be able to explain that hesitancy. You may sometimes identify it as societal, but then you don't really understand why, right? Or again, you may have been born into an extremely a fundamentalist like family, for example, or a very extremely religious family who is against this sort of thing, and that may be ingrained in you, and you may be struggling with that. You may be somebody that's really repulsed by witchcraft and anything that feels dark or seems too dark, and you might just be like light, light, light all the time because you're afraid of these things. The reason why this is something that may hinder your spiritual path is because that will prevent you from exploring the darker aspects of yourself in order to truly embrace and align with yourself, right? We have to accept ourself in its totality. A rainbow without certain colors isn't really a rainbow, right? It doesn't create white light. It doesn't, whatever. You guys get the gist. So yes, so somebody here, this seems to be what we are dealing with. This is, I love seeing this because when we're able to work through this energy, this is when we're able to change the soul story. We're able to change the people that we attract to ourselves as well, and the behaviors of people. Meaning you won't attract people that behave a particular way to you any longer once you're able to heal this wound. We have the Lover's card. And so the Lover's card, this is really where, and I'm going to explain this too. We talk a lot about the masculine and feminine energy. This is something that exists in other people outside of us. It exists within us. This is something that exists situationally. Inside of this sort of persecution of witchcraft, what we're looking at is we're looking at the masculine energy on a cultural level or a societal level, persecuting the internal feminine. And so what's happening here is that somebody here is ready to heal that. That's what the Lovers is about. It's about this unification of these two aspects. This is alchemy in motion. So what we have here in the traditional tarot is we actually have three alchemical things coming through. The woman represents salt, the man represents sulfur, and the angel typically represents Mercury. And there is this process or this difficulty, which is represented by that mountain. The spiritual ascent is rather difficult. There's this difficulty in bringing those two together, right? So someone here, you may be experiencing this as extremely painful right now as you sift through this, or you may be having a hard time actually being able to force yourself to be seen and force yourself to come out and try to be heard. This may be something that you're really struggling with right now, and you just have this like run and hide instinct taking place. And so the message that's coming through here is that it's okay, right? Healing these things really take time, and they don't happen overnight. They don't happen in this seamless, easy way. Sometimes it's, I talked about this recently. I think it was in a video that I recorded yesterday. Again, I'm going to be posting this much later, so that won't have been the previous day's reading, but it's where we take one step forward, and sometimes we take 2 steps back, and sometimes we take 3 steps forward, and then sometimes we take another step back. So whoever's struggling with being able to actually put themselves out there or not be affected by certain things because you're trying not to feel threatened or persecuted when people have an opinion or criticize something that you're putting out there, it's okay, right? It's okay to go through that experience and to focus on yourself despite that experience rather than punishing yourself. You were already punished. You don't have to continue to punish yourself, whoever's going through that. Okay, we have the Death card. Okay, and I'm placing that there. So what we have here is we have this sort of soul lesson that's coming through about this way that we died, right? This very horrific sort of way. And even when you look at this, you see a person down on the ground here that death has just cut. So some of you, you may have a fear of blades, for example, or anytime somebody talks about blades. I was just about to talk about the way that mine actually went. It was a little bit more than hanging, but that's really that's a little graphic, so we won't go into it. But I totally resonate with this if you have a fear of blades. Let me just say that. For somebody here, this is a very deep-seated energy, and you may even feel sometimes like a very like dark, sort of muddy. This is what they're giving me: a very dark, sort of muddy energy whenever considering the idea of death. This is all tying back to this life, right? We may have these inexplicable feelings that come up concerning witchcraft, against like darkness, against being seen, being heard, being truly known, allowing people to know our business, allowing people to know what we're working on, around the idea of death, around death energy itself. There may be all these like really tumultuous feelings around these concepts, and this is going to be because there's a witch wound. Someone here, you may be sifting through all this and really understanding just how deeply this goes. When I see death, this is that scorpionic energy. Scorpionic energy runs deep. This is primal energy that has been here since before mankind, right? That's the feeling of scorpionic energy. The process of death is something that is primordial. This is something that's, goes beyond our experience as humans. It goes beyond life on this planet. It is a primordial essence, and so there's some sort of primordial essence or fear that we experience. It's almost like it speaks to like some sort of primal aspect of ourself, right? And this is one reason why it has the power to sabotage us in our efforts to have healthy relationships, in our efforts to make a good, comfortable life for ourselves, in our efforts to put ourselves out there the way that we would like to in order to self-express, in our efforts to align to our true spiritual innate path, especially if you find that path is magically related. Some of you may even experience this again, especially if you were wrongly accused. You may experience this as a fear of even going within, of looking at yourself, of journaling, of doing anything that brings you closer to yourself. Okay, and this is the Wheel of Fortune. So this is the other card, and I'm going to bring up these two, and I talk about stuff like this in my Major Arcana series. So if you're interested in the Major Arcana series, it's for channel members, and that link's always in the description box. We see these symbols repeated here in the Wheel of Fortune. We have salt, we have sulfur, and again we have mercury. Now what we have down here is we have something called dissolution. This is where we break things down, and in order to purify things, they must be broken down. This is one reason why this is coming up now. You're in a process of evolution, and in this process of evolution, it's the right time, which is what this Wheel of Fortune card means. The Wheel of Fortune card is all about the goddess Hathor, and Hathor was seen as kind of the ruler of the cycles and the laws of the universe. That's even what this tarot being written on here means. It's I'm never going to remember it. Oh my god, it's tarot orat something ator. I never remember the correct order. But essentially what it means is that the Wheel of Tarot speaks the law of Hathor. And the Wheel of Tarot is represented here by Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon really represents the cosmos, the greater, all 10 spheres and all 10 dimensions, right? And so we can often look at this as being like the astrological plane, and then here's the elemental plane, and then in the center is us spinning that whole wheel, because this is the process of karma, right? This is the wheel of samsara, essentially, of life and death and rebirth. And essentially what's happening here is that this wheel, you've reached a point in your own soul's journey where it's the right time for this to be healed. It must heal in order for that wheel to continue spinning and for you to continue evolving. So this is why someone is currently working on this or having this experience. Okay. And then this brings us, again, that process of dissolution, bringing us back to that state of purity. The final card here that's coming out in this deck is the Fool. The Fool is the starting point, right? The Fool is basically the soul without the body, without the labels, without the name. All it has here is it has this little baggage that it's carried over from a past life. In the Arthur Edward Waite version, there's a pine cone representing the pineal gland, because it's this baggage that now projects and creates the stage for this life. Because it's not that it's some like punishment or reward or anything like that. It's because our reality is created by our beliefs. this baggage and the things that we carry with us are things that our soul still believes, right? Someone here is struggling with this witch wound, with a belief about the self. Maybe this is a belief that I don't deserve to be heard, or I don't deserve to be seen. Maybe it's that in being seen or being heard, I'm not being pious enough. Maybe it's that, number list, right? All the things can follow that. But this is what it's essentially saying. And so this is a perfect time now, is the process of dissolution, where we're coming back to this more purified soul state so that we can open up that bag and see what's inside. And once we do that, we step into that energy of the star card, the liberation. Being told to look at the bottom of the deck. So one of the things that we have here is we have the 5 of Swords. So I'm getting from this that an energy that we've experienced in our life is that of always having to keep ourselves safe, that it's us against the world, that there's always some sort of impending threat, right? This is what is essentially trying to clear out at the root of this, is that you are safe, that you have the ability to keep yourself safe, to make yourself safe, right? Obviously, I'm not speaking in the broader sense if you're, for example, in a hostile situation that you're not able to get out of, right? I'm not speaking about that. This is a collective reading. It's not a personal reading. Most people with this energy, you are able to keep yourself safe and to live your own spiritual truth and not be afraid. So what this is saying here is that somebody is really learning to put down that sword. So in the beginning, I may have mentioned that there was certain energy things going on in my energy center, so I kind of want to talk about them now. I may not have mentioned that. I know I mentioned the activation of the physical wound, but one of the things I'm feeling is inside this heart space. The other one is inside this solar plexus space. The solar plexus space, the reason why also with the activation that I knew that this was about the witch wound is because I'm feeling like a tie to my left, which is for me how I feel my past. Now there is this energy that's taking place inside of this chakra system thing that's going on for this collective, that's really talking about, this is a way that your solar plexus is trying to recalibrate its energy. There's still some sort of block inside our heart space, and I do feel that a lot of you have worked through that heart space, but we may be detecting little blocks that are still there, and these are in the form of that vengeance energy. We can have that vengeance energy because of the witch wound. It may be a little bit of that fear that everyone's out to get you energy that may be in there. And this may be one reason why when, for example, if people try to speak to us about things, we may always feel like, oh no, that's not true, you're lying, you're not being honest right now, because we can't take how they're saying that they feel about a particular situation, right? Again, for some of you, you may find quite the opposite. That's how you're received. Again, with that Fool card, these beliefs set up our reality. It's what we project through our pineal gland from the moment that we're born, setting up our reality and our experience here. And so, for example, this is attracting people who persecute you for speaking your mind, or people who punish you for trying to be yourself. All that is wrapped up in this, right? So whoever this message is for, this is coming out now because your soul is ready to heal this story. And that's great. That's great. Because after your soul heals this story, you get to kind of slowly build a new life for yourself, right? You don't have to have the same things inside of your story anymore. With this process often is a huge emphasis on personal boundaries usually comes in. What I give my energy to, what I don't give my energy to. And this energy here is also about that singular focus, being able to shift from this place where we are a victim of other people who are trying to always put us down, or the fear of it, right, into this more powerful arena of now I'm the main character inside of my life and I'm crafting my story. So prior to healing this, we aren't able to craft our own story because we aren't able to come into alignment with what it is that makes us truly powerful. For many of us, that is our power and magic, our more spiritual abilities, our psychic nature, right? After healing this, we're able to come into alignment with that, and we're able to live from that space, and we're able to engage in life in a more fuller way. So whoever's doing this work, congratulations. I am being told to pull 3 more cards, so we're going to pull from the Fairies Oracle. Of course. Oh, yes, we'll just take them. And then the bottom of the deck. So this is the energy someone is engaging in right now. We have the opponent's wild daughter, where she's forcing the woman inside, and this is where we gain some sort of wisdom, right? Especially wisdom about ourselves. This wisdom is providing us a gateway. This is a gateway into a new way of being that's presenting itself for us right now, especially on a number 3, a spiritual foundational level. So what we have here, these two came out, so they're read together. The very thing that we have avoided, the very thing that we've despised, the very thing that we have felt an aversion to, the very thing that has hurt us is quite possibly our greatest teacher and our greatest ally here. We have the soul shrinker and we have the friends. So this is where we have an aspect of ourself that we are warring with, or we are having a battle with because of fear. The soul shrinker is very bitter, very vengeful, very afraid. And this is where we heal this energy in order to understand that this center, the part of us that feels this way, is our greatest ally. It's the part of us that was destroyed or persecuted in a past life. So for some of you, it may be this more innocent nature that you had, especially if you were wrongly accused, that is angry and bitter because it's innocent, and it may experience vengeful energies in this life because of this. It may experience a lot of people wrongly accusing you or projecting onto you in this life, and that's an energy here. This innocence is actually your greatest ally, and so it's healing this, right? For those of you who did practice something, your magical power is your greatest ally. It's part of you. It's part of your soul signature, right? It's part of the the pizzazz of your soul. And having that be the reason why you're taken down, that creates this sort of energy in that aspect of you. And so you may have had a hard time aligning with that path, or not feeling completely comfortable in it, or just feeling like you can't necessarily be that out in the open. And this is where we heal it, and we allow it to kind of carry us. We allow this to be our friend again, rather than being at odds with it. So let's see. Is that it? I think that's it. That's it. So whoever this message is for, I wish you the best of luck with this. And yeah, feel free to leave me a like. I believe at the time that I'm posting this, I will have comments off. I'm trying to take a vacation. I'm trying to take a vacation for myself, a little time away. And so I am not able to come back to the comments and moderate the comments and take care of all the BS that happens in the comment section that, because of all the diligent work, you all will never know about. So I try to keep the community a positive and safe space for everybody so that you guys can enjoy the comment section when it is actually on. But yeah, so until next time.